This is a short video to show you how to create an Access query with a calculated field. Here I have my Access database, and in this database I have 4 tables. The first table is called Employees, and I'm tracking information about employees, including their employee ID number, their last name, first name, birth date, how much money they make in a year, the date they were hired, and their department. In addition to this basic information about employees, I'm also tracking employee absences, the date they were absent and why, what kind of benefits each employee gets, and when each employee is up for their next review and who their supervisor is. So the query I want to create off of this database has to do with employees and their annual and monthly salary. So all the information I need for this query is actually in the employees table. So I'm going to close the tables that I don't need, and let's just take the employees table. So I want to create a query that has the employee's name, last name, and first name, along with their annual salary and their monthly salary. And you can see monthly salary doesn't exist on this table, so we need to create it. So the first thing we need to do to create our new query is to go to the Create tab on the ribbon and click on Query Design. This takes me to my design view, and the first thing I need to do is select which table my data is in. Everything I need is in the employee table, so I don't need any of the other tables. I'll select employees and I'll click on Add. Then I can close the selection box. And these are all the fields in the employee table. We said earlier that I want to include in my query the employee's last name, first name, annual salary, and then we need to create the monthly salary. So I'm going to select last name, double click on it, and you can see it adds down here to the design section. A second way to do this is to use the list arrow right here and to select the field that you want. So now I have last name and first name, and I have their annual salary. So before we create the monthly salary, let's take a quick look at it. Let's run the query by clicking on Run. And that looks pretty good to me. I have the employee's last name, first name, and their annual salary. So let's go back to the design view by clicking on the View button and switching to the Design view. I'm going to create my new field right here. And to do that, it has to be in a very specific format. So let's take a look at what I need to put here in order to create that new field, which is the monthly salary. So we all know that the monthly salary is the annual salary divided by 12. So monthly salary here equal to your annual or yearly salary divided by 12. This is the exact text that I need to type into create my calculated field. I need to create a new field name, and I'm going to do that using the words monthly salary. The only difference is that when I create a field name, it can't have any spaces in it. So the words monthly salary with no space between the two words. I also need to use some special symbols to tell Access that I'm doing some math, which is the colon symbol and these brackets. The brackets are to the right of the P key on your keyboard. When I type in my field names, again, make sure that you don't include any spaces between the words. I'm going to use the / as the divide symbol, and here's my 12, dividing by 12 months. So now let's go ahead and add this text to our Access query. So right here, in the next field, I'm going to type monthly salary, which is the name of my new field. I'm going to use the colon button, which tells Access I'm going to do some math. And that left bracket, just to the right of the P key. And we're going to tell Access now that to calculate the monthly salary, we're going to use the annual salary. Make sure you type it exactly as it appears right here. Annual salary, and annual salary needs to be surrounded by brackets. So I'm going to now add the right bracket which is again 2 keys to the right of the P key. And there's my divide symbol, which is the /, and I'm going to just add the number 12. And I'll exit out of that field just by hitting the tab key, and here's my math. Let's take a look and see how it looks. I'm going to click the run key here, and there it is. So now I have last name, first name, annual salary, and monthly salary. These numbers don't look very good on my query. If I double click on the right border here, I can make the column wider, and you can see the numbers look correct, but there's too many decimals, there's no $sign. We need to do some work on this field to get it to look like we want it to look, more like this field here. So let's go back to the query design view. Click on the view button and scroll down to design view. So now when I am in my query design, if I come up to the design tab, which is up here, this only appears when I'm in the query design view. In the design tab, I can click on what are called the properties. It's this button right here, property sheet, and this is going to give me the properties for each one of these fields. So for example, the properties for the employee salary field are going to appear right here over on the right. See, if I unclick this, the properties go away. If I click it again, now I can see what the properties for this field are. So I can change how these numbers appear in the actual query by changing the properties for the field. So the first thing I want to do is I want to change the format of the numbers. And if I click in the format area here and click on the list arrow, I can scroll down, and I want these numbers to look like currency. All right, I want that $sign there. I also want these numbers to have only 2 decimal places to the right, which is like dollars and cents. We don't really have cents that go way out to the right. So I'm going to change the number of decimal places to 2. And let's rerun the query and see how it looks. All right, so now I have my query. There's my monthly salary, which if you look at the numbers, they make sense. Always check the numbers and see if they make sense. My annual salary divided by 12 is my monthly salary, and the numbers are formatted nicely in the currency format with just 2 decimal places. Now the last thing I want to show you is going back to the query design view. If I didn't want the annual salary to appear on this query, if I just want the monthly salary to appear, I can uncheck this box right here, and if I rerun the query, you can see that I now have just the last name, first name, and monthly salary.